I'm Nathan Tanner. Welcome to the Not Your Parents' Workplace show, where each week I share one lesson that will help you grow your career. This is episode 8, and today we're going to discuss a powerful tool that will prevent anger from destroying your career. In the summer of 1775, Benjamin Franklin frantically wrote a letter to William Strahan. At this point, the signing of the Declaration of Independence is still 1 year away, but the battles of Lexington and Concord are fresh, having happened just months earlier. Strahan had been a friend to Franklin for 30 years, but he was also a member of the British Parliament. At this time, tensions between England and America are raging, and in his anger, Franklin writes a letter to Strahan, tearing him apart. He calls him out for dooming his country to destruction, blames him for the burning of towns and murdering of people, and tells him to look upon his hands, for they are stained with American blood. He concludes the letter by saying, "Strahan, you are now my enemy, and I am yours." But there's one thing I haven't yet told you about this letter. Franklin never actually sent it. After letting his anger settle, his better judgment kicked in. Franklin would go on to become the nation's premier ambassador, and he was beloved throughout Europe and was key in persuading the French to join the Revolutionary War on the side of the United States. Accomplishments that wouldn't be possible had he not learned to master his emotions. Franklin wasn't the only one who employed this anger management technique. As Doris Kearns Goodwin shared, whenever Abraham Lincoln felt the urge to tell someone off, he would compose what he called a hot letter. He'd pile all of his anger into a note, then put it aside until his emotions would cool, and he would write, "Never sent, never signed." Harry Truman and Winston Churchill and countless others have mastered the art of the unsent angry letter. Doing so allowed them to act deliberately and consciously rather than acting on pure emotion. Several years ago, I woke up at 3 a.m. and couldn't fall back asleep. I kept replaying an exchange that I had with a colleague the day before. In that exchange, I wasn't able to articulate my point of view on the topic, but now, of course, at 3 a.m., I couldn't stop thinking about it. For the next 30 minutes, the same 5 or 6 speaking points kept replaying in my head on an endless loop. I needed to tell him why I was right, why he was wrong, and what we should do about it. I crawled out of bed and started writing him an email. My thoughts and emotions flowed like rushing water. I was going to make my voice heard in no uncertain terms. Satisfied with the final product, well over a page at that point, I closed my laptop, crawled back into bed, and went to sleep. You may be able to guess what happened next. I never sent the email. By the time I woke up, it was clear to me that sending that email would have damaged my relationship with the colleague, and we wouldn't have been any closer to solving the actual problem. To be candid, I haven't always taken this approach. I can think of many instances where I've acted out of frustration or anger. An emotion-filled email or Slack message sent in the heat of the moment has come back to hurt me and many others. There's great power in writing an unsent letter. You're free to say whatever you want. You feel the cathartic power that comes from telling someone off without the collateral damage that follows. Freely writing your thoughts and emotions, then tucking them away for a season gives you space to make sure that your emotions aren't getting the best of you. It allows you to make conscious and rational decisions. Okay, here's the challenge for this episode. Next time you're tempted to lash out or send an emotion-driven email, give this a try. Write a note. It can be in a doc or email, and pour all of your emotion into it. Open up and share how it is that you feel. Then file it away for 24 hours. If after that period you still feel the same way and want to hit send, great. No harm, no foul. I promise you that by taking this approach, you will build better relationships and work more effectively with others. There's always a space between stimulus and response. Creating a buffer between those two things allows us to make better decisions. Master the art of the unsent angry letter. It's a powerful tool as you continue to build your leadership toolkit. That concludes another episode of the Not Your Parents Workplace Show. Thanks for joining. Before we wrap, the Not Your Parents Workplace Show is now available on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. Make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss next week's episode. See you then.